So any questions, please? Malak Sahib? Malak Sahib, Malak Tataraman Sahib? Why can't you come forward and sit closer to me? Do you want to, you recline on a wall? You can recline on this wall. Yes, that's right. Yes, please. This is what I meant. You can recline on this wall and be comfortable. Huh? So anyone who wants to say anything, please.
In Arab countries, you see that after a few years in the burial ground, in the graveyard, they level. There is no sign left of
no trace left of the grave.
Empty.
Yes, correct.
Is that a right thing to do from the Muslim point of view?
Well, from a Muslim point of view, such details have not been discussed either in the Holy Quran or in the tradition. But to preserve a grave is apparently better. And to demolish a grave, it doesn't appeal to one as a good thing to do. So all that I can say is that my personal human reaction is against this act. But I don't know of any positive verse of the Holy Quran or a tradition which speaks openly against this. Yes, Dr. Sahib?
We know in Hindu religion they do idol worship. I was watching a television program and there it was said that they also believe in one God, but the idol is just a symbol.
Right.
As compared to Muslims, they face towards Mecca, keeping Christ as a symbol or whatever, and in the same way they do this. Could you kind of explain?
Yes. What is the difference between the two? Correct. The fact is that the difference should be very apparent to you yourself, because you have experienced facing towards Mecca, and you know that Mecca in itself is never in the mind of a worshipper. It's just a direction so that we have this one direction as a people, as a nation. And as far as Mecca itself is concerned, it is farthest from the mind of the one who is worshipping. We never ask anything from Mecca. We don't call it a symbol of God in the sense that it is representing Him in any form or in any way. Only it's a place where worshippers before have worshipped the one Allah. So a place of worship cannot have any similarity to the object of worship. This is the fundamental difference between the two. The idols in the case of Hindus are made objects of worship. Mandir is the place of worship. So if there is any analogy, it should be between the Mandir and Mecca. We revere that place because it was the first place where Allah alone was worshipped. So it stands as a symbol of unity, not a symbol of diversity in the concept of Allah. Number two, whatever excuses they put forward, it is a reality that their faith in detail speaks of Allah's partners. And they attribute different tasks to different gods, who at times are at loggerheads with each other, who do not agree with each other. So these commotions, these disturbances in weather and wars and calamities and all this, in fact, according to the Hindu mythology, as in the Greek mythology, are the explanations of warring gods. And then there are gods of wealth. Devi, in fact it's a goddess of wealth among Hindus. So when they say they are symbols of God, either they are telling a lie or they are not telling the whole truth. They are symbols, of course, but number one, symbols are made far too important until they almost stand for gods. And the human thought does not go beyond the symbol itself. It is held in awe. The symbol itself has been made so important in the lives of the Hindus that it's almost like God itself. But apart from that they are not symbols of one God. They are symbols of Kali Devi, they are symbols of the Lakshmi Devi, they are symbols of other Devis and Devas. So obviously somebody is befooling someone else when he says that we believe in the unity of Allah and they are only symbols. Symbols of maybe, but symbols of not one God, but symbols of hundreds of gods, sometimes thousands of gods. All their old temples are full of so many figures and so many representations of gods that they are almost countless. All the elements in nature ultimately become God to them, independent beings, and symbols of some being controlling them from behind as an independent God who can differ in opinion with other gods, come to war and shape destiny as she pleases. So it has no similarity with your facing towards Kaaba, but the farthest. Yes, please.
I wish to ask you a question regarding Surah As-Saff,
Yes.
in which Allah Almighty says, وَإِذْ قَالَ عِيسَى ابْنُ مَرْيَمَ يَا بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ
Your sister?
إِنِّي رَسُولُ اللَّهِ إِلَيْكُمْ مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيَّ مِنَ التَّوْرَاةِ وَمُبَشِّرًا بِرَسُولٍ يَأْتِي مِن بَعْدِهِ اسْمُهُ
Min baad ismuhu, baad hi nahi. Min baad ismuhu Ahmad. In fact, it is Yati Mim Badi Ismuhu Ahmad. So when Badi and Ism are read together, one letter falls, disappears, and in the joint you say just Bad Ismuhu Ahmad. Instead of reading the full Ye, which drops out, you say Bad Ismuhu. Don't add he to it. That would be an addition in the Holy Quran. Yes, please.
When Jesus, son of Mary, said a prophet or messenger would come after him, obviously the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hazrat Muhammad, came after him. And we all know that given name or the name by which he is commonly known is Muhammad and not Ahmad. So Huzur may like to comment on this.
Yes.
And then, sir, moreover, the Mahdi al-Islam, who came after the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his name is Ghulam Ahmad.
I'll explain that, yes. The fact is that this verse has been made a controversial verse unnecessarily between Ahmadis and non-Ahmadis. Unless you understand the full import of this style, the style of prophecies of the Bible in relation to Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you would not understand this verse. The fact is that Hazur Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not only a prophet of Jalal, it is a term used in Islam, which means a manifestation of Allah's wrath and glory and power, all that is strong and powerful. But he was also a manifestation of Jamal, which means beauty and charm and lovely.